What is going on, guys? We are back again to unbox another brand new smartphone. This time we're looking at the TCL 30V 5G. I'm assuming I'm supposed to say V, not 5. It's a Roman numeral as well. I am confused. I'm going to say V from here on out. This is another very budget-friendly phone from TCL. Full retail price, $299. Hard to highlight there. If you want to go with the 36 month, you're looking at $8 a month. Okay, this is a phone that when you're signing up for a new contract, you're going to get this thing for really, really cheap, if not free, on that new line. And the specifications on it, honestly, look fairly impressive. It's got a gigantic 6.7-inch display, full HD, plus a triple rear camera system headlined by a 50 megapixel main sensor, which we're going to definitely need to do some testing on. A 16 megapixel front facing camera as well in a hole punch there. Quite a slim chin and very small bezel up top. 4500 milliamp hour battery in addition to a Snapdragon 480. Should mean battery life should be quite strong. 4 gigs of RAM. This is a budget phone. You're not going to get 8 gigs of RAM for as cheap as this thing, but it's probably still going to be relatively fast. Fingerprint unlock on the back. Lots of stuff to like here. I've got it right in front of me. Let's jump into the unboxing right about now. So here you go, the TCL 30V 5G, or it could be the Roman numeral 5. There's no way to know. Powered by NXT Vision. TCL's gotten really good with their displays as of late, and I'm really curious to see how this one is going to look. Very big display, 2 gigahertz octa-core processor. Again, like I said, Snapdragon 480, 50 megapixel camera. Remember when 50 megapixel cameras weren't on $300 phones? Me too. 128 gigs of RAM, big battery. Okay, let's open the thing up and get into the actual impressions of the device. Enough fooling around here. Let's put that on the back. There is the phone itself. We're going to set that aside for a moment and just see what else happens to come here. You have a SIM ejector tool. Looks like we have a USB-A to C cable. A charger here. It's pretty crazy, right? They put a charger in the box. What a crazy concept. Here's the question, though. Is it a fast charger? 18 watts, what we're looking for here. 3 amp, 9 volts. I'll be damned. That is an 18 watt fast charger. They actually included a charger in the box that will charge the phone at full speed. Crazy concept, TCL, giving your customers stuff they need. And let's go ahead and pop this plastic off here. I can't see where I'm supposed to begin. We're just gonna go with there. That appears to have been the right guess. Peel this thing off and we're free of the plastic. I kind of like this finish. It's kind of almost like a brushed metal feel. I don't believe that's the case. I don't believe that is metal, but it kind of feels like it. Big old QR code back there on the back, which that's just ugly. Don't put stickers on things. Luckily, came off quite easily. You can see this is 5G compatible on Verizon's network, which is the network you're going to be using on this device. It is very, very large. That is a gigantic screen. You can get a look here at the camera modules on the back. It's, there's a big old camera bump back there, but you get 3 cameras. And I mentioned what they were. 50 megapixel main, a 5 megapixel ultra wide, and then a 2 megapixel macro that we're going to need to test all of those out. Rear mounted fingerprint scanner. Love seeing that. Looks like a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. How about that? We got speakers on the bottom, USB-C, probably just a earpiece here, probably not going to get amplified sound to get stereo out of that, but who knows? Stranger things have happened. And you've got your SIM there, power, volume, and speaking of power, let's turn this bad boy on and let's get it set up. And of course, part of the setup process is unlocking with the fingerprint sensor. So let's kind of see here how quick this setup is. And that is extremely fast. Oh yeah, very fast fingerprint scanner. And we actually have face unlock that we can train. So let's go ahead and train that. There I am. That was very fast. Okay, and this is your default home screen. So the first thing I want to do is let's turn it off and let's see about that fingerprint scanner. Let's see how fast this is here. I'm going to hit it right now, and that's relatively fast. That's not Not the fastest actual wake up that I've ever seen, but it is definitely serviceable. Let's see about the face unlock. Can I double tap? Device unlocked by face unlock, but then you still have to swipe up to dismiss. And that actually is pretty fast, but I wish it would just fully unlock from there. I wish I didn't actually have to do the swipe up, but that is what it is. Apparently you can do a 2-finger swipe on the home screen. Privacy apps. Okay, swipe up and hold. You can add hidden apps. That's actually kind of interesting. Let's take a look here at the camera, because that's something that I'm curious to see what kind of improvement we've gotten out of. Let's see what kind of shutter lag we have here first. Pretty much non-existent shutter lag. We have our ultra wide. And then to use the macro, you actually have to go into your settings here and then go to super macro. So that is kind of odd. But once you're in super macro, you can get up quite close to the subject. I'm going to quickly take some sample photos and we'll add them in here. Okay, so this first image here was taken with the standard 50 megapixel sensor. And if we zoom in here a little bit, I think you're gonna see that the quality is okay. The color reproduction is all right. Nothing too crazy, pretty serviceable. Moving to the ultra wide, color reproduction changes dramatically. It cools off quite a bit. This grain is pretty inaccurate. We get quite a bit of fuzziness. And keep in mind, this is only a 5 megapixel sensor. So that's going to have a lot to do with that loss in quality. Now keep in mind, there's also a way in your camera to shoot with the full 50 megapixels, because by default, this image here does pixel bin down to 12.5 megapixels. So if we shoot in full 50 mode, let's get a quick comparison here. Let's look at some of this text up here. Can you read Microsoft Surface Duo 2? Now let's go to the 50 megapixel version. It might actually be worse somehow. It's definitely not any clearer. I actually had to stop and check to make sure this was the 50 megapixel version. I would say pretty safe to just stick with the standard shooting mode. The 50 megapixel mode did not appear to add anything of great value. Moving up a little bit closer to this, at this point, nearly antique Spider-Man, and then moving to the macro lens. You can see how close we got, but it is a little fuzzy. It's a little grainy. The macro is, I believe it is only a 2 megapixel camera. So we're going to see the macro again. Not great indoors. Outdoors, though, with the standard 50, hey, this looks pretty vibrant. This looks pretty colorful. Details are not bad. Outside in good lighting, that's a pretty solid picture. The ultra wide, still a little bit cooler than it should be. A lot of loss of detail, some fringing around the edges. I'd say overall that the ultra wide, not great. You're probably going to be living in the 50 megapixel. What about the macro up close, though? Well, outdoors, it's better. You're still pretty grainy, though. This is a 2 megapixel camera. On the phone, it looked okay. On Instagram, it's probably going to look all right. But again, you're probably going to be spending most of your time in that primary 50 megapixel. Portrait mode does okay. It looks like there's some blurring on his nose. I didn't try it on a human, tried it on a dog, because most of these phones get humans correct. But you can see here, the fall off is a little uneven, right? Like it seems like it's a little patchy, almost a little inconsistent on the focus, but it's okay. Standard mode, maybe he was just moving. Maybe that's not actually that fault. Maybe this is actually just motion blur because he was moving a little bit, which actually speaks to motion blur a little bit incidentally. See about video performance. We're shooting in the default settings here, taking a look at the doggos hanging out in the backyard as I walk around. What kind of stability do we have here? What kind of sound quality, audio quality? How does this all look? What do you guys think? So we also have an app here called NXT Vision, and I think this is supposed to do some sort of automatic image enhancement, video game enhancement, color mode, temperature, vivid. You can kind of tweak how you want this thing, the screen, to look. And I think a lot of this comes from TCL's growing expertise in the display field. Pretty cool to see so much customization possible here. So I would say overall for a first impression, there's some strong stuff here. The camera performance seems to be a little bit uneven. Performance testing is something I'm going to need a little bit more time to do. So I'm going to load up some applications on here. We're going to play with this phone for a couple of days and I'll be back with a full review. Guys, thanks for stopping by for this quick unboxing and first impressions. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.